You were an electrician? Gee, I got some work if you want to come with it.
I'm sorry.
What's this and why are we firing it?
But to do him a favor and maybe pick up a few bucks. What if you took him out to eat? Took you out to dinner to Oak and Ember?
To where?
Oak and Ember.
What's that?
That's the fanciest restaurant, kosher restaurant in Boca.
I never even heard of it.
Well,
That's
it's where it's behind where Asia is, between where Asia and the Roadhouse or whatever it was called.
I mean,
it has fabulous food, and it's not
better
just,
than burnt.
oh yeah. I mean, it's not. It's an experience. You go there; it's a 2-hour deal.
All right, please.
And empty your pocket.
No, it's like $250 for 2 people. It's not the end of the world, but it's enough that if you did his electrical work,
Don't never call me.
I wouldn't go there either.
I go there. I love the place. We've been there like 7 times. No, 5 times. The food is excellent. They have unusual food items. In other words, it's not a hamburger.
It's still not worth $250.
To you, it isn't. I understand that.
Okay, we will start on the learning sponsors. Today's date is the what, 16th, 17th? All right, well, we got a couple from yesterday that we'll still remember. And I don't think they sent out a new bulletin, right? What time are they definitely tonight?
Oh, I get a mazel tov.
Yeah, we got a mazel tov.
Thank you.
Why?
We had a new great-grandchildren yesterday.
Great-grandchildren?
Some people, new great-grandchild. A boy, a new boy.
Oh,
But some people, I said to my granddaughter, I said, some people will do just about anything to avoid fasting.
All right, mazel tov.
We have a young Kippur boy too,
Yeah?
Okay,
but he's 50 years old.
All right.
but he's still a Yom Kippur boy. It never changed. And you save a lot of money on birthday parties. Over the years.
I think is there anybody else that's not in here? Sam was at the other. David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Rav ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Razna ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, in a memory of family murdered in the Holocaust, Arav Tzvi Hirsch ben Shlomo Yaakov, Sarah bat Ephraim, Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Ephraim ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Adia bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Miriam bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Pesel bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shalom ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shlomo Yaakov ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shmuel ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Marsha Federbush and family, in memory of her husband, Dr. Uriel Paul Federbush, Uriel Pinkas ben Arav Shimon, Sharon and Fred Lisker, their family and many friends, in memory of her dear mom, Harriet Friedman, Elbas Yaakov, Leslie and Gail Kaplan, in memory of their parents, Harry and Marjorie Siddell, Irving and Pearl Kaplan, friends of Avi Gitler, Avram Meir ben Shimon, and Martha Gitler, Charna Bas Yeshaya, children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of Toby Paris, Sarah Tova Bat Yisrael Dov, in her memory. Friends of Malka Levi, Malka Bat Yosef. Friends of Joe Wolf, Yosef Ben Chaim, Charlie Gelfenstein, and Sam Levine, in memory of Ramona Levine, Rachel Mata Bat Asher. A month of learning by Lynn Rappaport, in memory of her husband, Avram Ben Siona Cohen. A week of learning by Michael and Sharon Glass. Yes, it's ending this week. In memory of his mother, Rivka Yita Bat Yitzchak Cohen. By Jonas and Clara Weiser, in memory of his mother, Chaya Bat Yoni Yitzchak. By Robin Lerner, in memory of her father, Reuven Ben Yosef. We had, yesterday was the 16th, it was a day of learning plus Torah fund by Gail and Milton Miller, in memory of her mother, Rachalea Bat Chuna Ber. And we had also on the 16th, a day of learning by Esther and Donald Press, in memory of her father, Rafael Zeb Ben Yisrael. Shema's having Aliyah, Crank Rafia, Vel Yeshiva Shema Tliya, Machol Ben Yisrael, a good Gaben Shtiar. Okay. I got a new calendar, a single one from the DAF people.
Another one.
Okay, it was just a small one. Okay, and they're looking for donations. So I sent a donation with a note
Please.
on the form. Please send at least another 15 of them. So we'll see what happens.
Did you send them at least $15?
No, I sent them $18.
Okay, I said at least, so the answer is yes.
Okay, so hopefully that will.
I couldn't even get a call back.
So
Yeah,
what next is Rosh Hashanah finally?
Yeah.
Yeah.
next is Rosh Hashanah.
So late.
All right, that will
Put it-
be,
If we, what, never mind.
no, that will actually be,
A Tinus or something?
no,
What's
I'm looking
next?
at the date. We would start Rosh Hashanah on the 11th of October. Right? How about that?
Well, you're gonna learn what bracha to make in the Shemesra.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, Harvey, are you on? I don't see you. Okay, I know Steve is there. Good. All right, so where should we start this morning?
Probably the-
What? No, I don't know where to start.
Tana Rabban,
Okay,
Yom Tov Shkol Yos B'Shabbos.
well, we might start there. Okay. I just want to make a particular reference quickly to the bottom of Tet Zion Amud Beis. Okay. Okay. The Ela Iamat the Chumra, Michael Ika, what was the problem? Kivan de Mekalkale Ba Rabin. In other words, one of the commentaries I saw said that perhaps people would not then perform an Eruv Chatzeros because they might mistakenly carry from one domain to another on Shabbos. That was the Kilkul there. And then we get on to Hainu Kilkula on the top of Yud Zayin, right? So what then, this would be then the problem, the issue, the error, right? Amar Rabba, Amar Rav Chista, Amar Rav Huna, Halacha Karebi, Esor. Okay, and that's where we finished yesterday on Yom, right? That therefore the halacha is based on the view of Rebbe, that Rebbe is Oser, okay, which indicates that basically, right? So that's the point in terms of saying that the Erev Tchumim would be all right, but the Erev Tafshilin. Okay. All right. Now we can move on to Yud Zayin Amud Aleph, second line, right? Tanu Rabbanan, Yom Tov Shechaliyot B'Shabbat. Okay, so what happens then if it's the same day, Yom Tov and Shabbos? Beit Shammai Omrim, says it, Mitpalel Shmona. As we go into this, we're going to get into really what I would call a number of liturgical issues, right? We all know today, okay, that basically if it's Shabbos, the Amida is 7 brachot, right? 3 at the beginning, the common 3, Avot, Gvurot, and Kedusha, and then 3 at the end, all right? And those 3, okay? And then in the middle, just 1 for Kedushat Hayom. Given that we're aware of that, we see here a discussion on that topic, okay? So according to Beit Shammai, they say one should pray 8 blessings, all right? Namely, V'omer shel Shabbat b'fnei atzma, v'shel Yom Tov b'fnei atzma. You would have 1 Kedushat Hayom blessing for Shabbos, 1 for Yom Tov. Beit Hillel Omrim, Mitpalel Sheva. Says Beit Hillel, you play still 7. Rebbe is saying you really Shabbos and people that make it holy. Okay, implication. V'hashabbat mekadsha v'kaima. But Shabbat has already come in. And in other words,
Shabbat's existed since
yeah, in other words, it's already started because in the nature of the observance of Shabbat, okay, it is brought in not by the people sanctifying it, by its very nature of its part of the creation and Torah mandated structure. Okay, so what happens?
Every seventh day is automatically Shabbat.
Right. Ela Ema, therefore I would say, Mikadesh HaShabbat v'Yisrael v'Hazmani. Okay, and that is
what we do.
what we do. Okay, which basically is
Literally correct.
right. Okay, and if we've just I lost my place for a second. I'm sorry. But that's exactly basically what Rebbe says. Mikadesh HaShabbat v'Yisrael. Okay.
Whatever I say.
However,
That's the problem with Hawaii.
right. Okay. Amar Rav Yosef, halacha kerebi u'kedatari tzravina. And so that's the bottom line, so to speak, that the law is like what Rebbe said, which we pointed out, but as explained and answered by Ravina. So here, just as a point of clarification before we go on, okay, you can see that there was a difference apparently of minhag, but the minhag was finally settled already before the close of the Talmud, okay? So already that tells you how long ago certain aspects of tefillah were already fixed. And that's important for us to realize. Okay? All right. Tanu Rabbanan, a new piece from the Mishnah, from Braita, I'm sorry. Shabbat Shecholiyot Barosh Chodesh. Okay, let's take another possibility, right? O B'cholo Shel Moed, right? Or in the intermediate days. Okay, what do we do then? Arvit v'Shacharit u'Mincha, those three davenings, Mitpalel Sheva, one prays 7 blessings. V'Omer, excuse me, Me'ein HaMe'orah, okay? In other words, what is Me'ein HaMe'orah? Something pertaining to the event, okay? Ba'avoda, in the avoda blessing. So in other words, it's suggesting that you include Yalev Yavo in the Ritzei. Okay, so that's the point. V'im lo amar, and if he doesn't say it, machzirinoto, you make him go back. Right? Rabbi Eliezer Omer, he says, bahoda'ah. No, he argues it should be said as part of modim, that blessing.
Like we do for Hanukkah.
Right, exactly. Okay. Ubemusafin matchil b'shel Shabbat, u'mesayim b'shel Shabbat. And in the Musaf, okay, what do? We start with Shabbos, end in Shabbos. V'omer kedushat hayom ba'emtza. And we say something pertaining to the sanctity of the day in the middle. Okay, so again, he's not disagreeing. By the way, notice his comment doesn't disagree by saying that, like the other services, we say 7 blessings, because it just told us in the Braita, Arvit v'Shachrit u'Mincha 7. Okay, so he doesn't disagree from that point of view. Rabbi Eliezer is that perspective. Okay, Rabbi Eliezer is not disagreeing. Right? He's clarifying. Right? But what happens? Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, the Rabbi Shmuel, Yishmael, Beno shel Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, Omrim, what do they say? Kol makom shehuzkak l'sheva, matchil b'shel Shabbat, u'mesayim b'shel Shabbat, v'omer kedushat hayom ba'emtza. Okay? So that middle blessing, they're both saying, has to begin with the major theme of Shabbat, end Shabbat, and then include in the middle some reference to the occasion. Now, Amar Rabbi, right? Amar Rav Huna. Ein halacha koto hazur. He claims the law is not like the two of them. Amar Rav Chia bar Ishi. Amar Rav, in the name of Rav. Okay, a new piece. So where do we stand with that? Okay, previously, do we have a clear clarification? Right? So the implication is that it may not be, and therefore we don't have the same statement like we had earlier, which was a clear clarification. Apparently, there was still some debate on that issue. Okay, going on. Amar Rav Chia bar Ashi. He says as follows: Amar Rav in the name of Rav. Maniach ed Adam eruvet chumim miyom tov lechaveiro. What are we talking about? In the diaspora, first day of Yom Tov, right? Okay, can you put on the first day of Yom Tov your erev chumim for the second day? All right, miyom tov lechaveiro. Umatna, and person makes a conditional, okay, a situation. If yesterday was, if today is Yom Tov and yesterday was not, it's one thing. If today is Yom Tov and tomorrow is not,
I don't need it.
Okay, exactly, that's the matna. Amar Rava, this is Rava. Maniach Adam eruvei tavshilin miyom tov lechaviro umatna. Okay, Rava also says that a person could, on first day of Yontif in the Galut, in the diaspora, put their Erev Tavshilin out, okay, and make a stipulation, right, a condition. Man da'amar eruvei tchumim Kol shekain eruvei tavshilin. The one who says that you could do so for an Erev Tchumim, all the more so you should be able to do for an Erev Tavshilin. Right? Uman da amar eruvei tavshilin, aval eruvei tchumim lo. Okay, but what about the ones who might say that you could do an Erev Tavshilin, but not an Erev Tchumim? Right? No. My Tama, what's the reasoning? Dilma Shavita B'Shavta. Okay? In other words, the question is, Dilamakne Shavita B'Shavta. Lo. Okay? So in other words, the problem is that we say the question would be, could the person make some acquisition of residence on Shabbat or Yom Tov, and it's not permitted. Okay, and so therefore that is the point why
You can't make the error.
you can't make the Eruv on that situation. Okay, Tanu Rabbanan, another brighter. Ein ofin miyom tov l'chaveru. Okay, now we're saying again that one cannot, right, bake from one Yom Tov to the next, again, during the Chutz La'aretz in the diaspora. Be'emet amru. Indeed, they said, okay, Mimla'a isha kol ha'kdeira, a woman could fill up, in other words, if she's cooking a pot of meat, she does not need just to put in the amount of meat for that day. She could fill her pot with a significant amount of meat, right? Kol kadeira basar, afal pi she'inat tzricha ela lechaticha achat. Even though she may only need one piece of meat for that day's meal. Okay? Mimla'a nachtom chavit shel mayim. And we say that the baker may fill an entire barrel full of water, okay, which he's going to knead his dough and other things like that. Afal pi she'eino tzarich ela lekiton echad, even though he only needs a flask amount, okay. Aval la'afot, excuse me, but to bake, eino ofe ela masha tzarich lo, but he can only bake that which he needs for that day's allotment, so to speak. Okay? Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar says as follows, Omer, Mimla'a isha kol hatanor pat. A woman can put a number of
How many
loaves.
loaves that she can fit in the oven?
Okay? In other words, think of pita for a moment. You know, they're about so big, right? So in their ovens, they would stick them against the wall of the oven, okay? And so therefore she could put a number of them in the oven, right? In that case, why? Mipnei shehapat ne'efet yafeh bisman shehatanur malay. Because the bread is baked,
Enhanced by
right?
having many
baked
loaves.
much better by having a, so to speak, a more full oven, right?
I'll check
Amar
with Susan if that's true.
Amar Rava, says Rava. Halacha ka Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. So here we see very clear statement again that what decision was made. Okay.
Boiler.
Okay. Ibaya laho. So now we ask another shaila. Okay, the following. Mi shelo hiniach eruvei tavshilin. Okay. One who did not, for whatever reason, set aside their Erev Tavshilin. Okay, hu ne'asar v'kimcho ne'asar. Do we say that he is forbidden? In other words, it's forbidden for him to cook on that day, and if he did, any of his dough is forbidden. O dilma, or perhaps hu ne'asar v'ein kimcho ne'asar.
Somebody, I think it means I forgot to make my Erev Tavshilin. I'll give Susan my bag of flour. She could cook for me.
Can she make it
Correct.
for
I don't
you?
think it means is the food
Right.
us, or I think it means can another bake on your
Well, he
behalf?
can't bake for himself. It's
He can't
forbidden
bake
for him,
himself, but somebody
Right.
can bake on his
but
behalf.
somebody
the
else
question.
could bake
Right.
for him. That's the question.
Can someone use
Right.
your food?
Lamai
and cook for me?
nafkamino. So what's the difference? La'aknuye kimche la'acherim. To transfer possession. That's how I'm translating la'aknuye. His flour
To the next guy.
to someone else. In other words, therefore, to the question of being able to bake for the fellow who forgot or to make it the Erev Tavshilin. Iyamrat, hu ne'asar v'kimcho ne'asar. If you say that it is forbidden for him and his flour is also forbidden, tzrich le'knuye kimcho le'achirim. Do we therefore say that he has to transfer
Give
possession,
his food away.
okay, of his flour to somebody else? V'iyamart hu ne'asar ve'en kimcho ne'asar. But if we say that for him it's forbidden, but his flour is not forbidden, lo tzarich laknuye kimcho la'achirim. He does not need to transfer the possession of his flour to somebody else. Mai, what is the situation then? Tashma, listen to the following brighter. Mi shelo hiniach eruvei tavshilin. One who didn't set aside an erev tavshilin, maybe he forgot or whatever. Harei zeh lo ya'afeh v'lo yivashel v'lo yatmin lo v'lo la'achirim. He is not permitted to bake. He is not permitted to cook. He is not permitted to insulate food for Shabbat, right? Lo, not for himself and not for others. V'lo achirim ofim u'mevashlim lo. And others are not permitted to bake or to cook for him. Keitzad hu oseh. So what does he do then? Makneh kimcho la'achirim. He must actually sell his flour to others. V'ofim lo u'mevashlim lo. Then they can bake for him, they can cook for him. Shmamina. That's what we learn from this. Hu ne'asar v'kimcho ne'asar. That it is forbidden for him, and his flour is forbidden. Shmamina. In other words,
Is it just flour?
No, it's any food.
that's the food stuff in general. But remember, bread was such a basic food stuff, a staple. That's why they often use that as the example.
There is one loophole, just from a personal, halachic perspective. One time in your life, you can rely on the fact
Yeah,
that
that's
the
what
rabbi says for myself and for the whole community.
Right.
And he makes it.
We saw that the other day,
Yeah, but it's
Okay.
only once in your whole life
Right.
that you can. do
because we
that.
saw the story where the blind man did it a second year and he told them, pasnished for you.
Finish.
Okay, right.
Ois.
Okay, let's go on. So what shall we say? Ibayalahu. So now they ask the following. Avar va'afa mai. What if the person transgressed and baked anyway? What's the situation? Tashma, says the Braita. Mi shalo hiniach eruvei tavshilin. Ketzad hu oseh. Right? Makneh kimcho la'achirim. Again, he sells his flour to others. Va'achirim ofim lo u'mevashlim lo. And others can bake for him and they can cook for him as we roll over now. V'ita liknei. Okay, and if it's possible, maybe we should have taught it this way. Avar va'afa, if he transgressed and baked, mutar. Maybe we should say then it would be permitted. In other words, just tell other people that if somebody transgressed, it's still permitted to tell them that they could have a way to make for him.
But it's not. So
But it's
we're
not.
allowed
It's
to
not
eat the
that
food.
heavy. Right. Amar Rav Ada Bar Matna, he said as follows, Tana, we taught as follows, Takanta de Hetera Katani. Okay, that would be teaching an enactment, so to speak, that's permissible.
That's the selling the flour.
So, right. That, in other words, that you could sell the flour. tekanta de isura, but to make a takana, a decree, a statement where there is something that it's forbidden, lo katani, that we don't teach. Okay. Tashma, hear the following brighter. Mi shehaniach eruvei tavshilin, one who set aside his erev tavshilin, harei ze ofeh, umivashel, umatmin. This one is permitted to bake, to cook, and to insulate.
Warm.
Right? Ve'im ratzah le'achol et eruvo, and if he wants to eat his eruv, okay, there's erev tavshilin, harishut biyado. Okay, the permission is granted him. Okay, achlo ad shelo afal. Okay, if he ate it, okay, that's it. Then he can't bake. Ad shelo hitmin.
You can't
Okay,
even
if
warm
he ate it, he can't warm the food. Harei ze lo yafeh v'lo yivasher v'lo yatmin. Therefore, in that situation, he cannot bake, he cannot cook, he cannot warm or insulate the food. Lo v'lo achirim, not him and not others. V'lo achirim ofim umavashlin lo, and others cannot bake or cook for him. Aval, says the Gemara now, mevashel hu liyom tov, but he could cook for Yom Tov itself for that day. And what could he do? V'im hotir l'Shabbat, ubilvad shelo ya'arim. And if he could leave over, then he has leftovers for Shabbos, but so long as he doesn't do it in a deceitful manner, by trickery.
Like saying, I'm making this whole pot of stew for us to eat now. Oh, well, we can't possibly do it.
Right? Ve'im ha'arim asur. And if he did it in a deceitful manner, it is forbidden. Okay? Now, let's go on. Amar Rav Ashi, harma ka'amad. You're talking about deceit. Shani harama, the achmiru ba rabanan fei mimezi. He says his answer is aramad, deceitfulness, trickery is different, because the sages were more stringent on that situation than a situation of somebody who acted b'mezid, right, deliberately. Right? Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Amar, he said as follows: Hamani, according to whom is this? Right? Chananya. Okay, it's Chananya. Va'aliba de Beit Shammai, and this is really the view of Beit Shammai. Okay? The Tanya, okay, as taught elsewhere in the Braita. Chananya Omer, okay, he says as follows: Beit Shammai Omer, he says Beit Shammai, Ein ofin ela im kain irev bapat, that one cannot bake unless excuse me, he made his erev tavshilin using bread.
Or another baked good.
Okay, well, okay, that could be, but I found that was the ve'ein mevashlin ela im kain irev b'tavshil, and he cannot again make his erev tavshilin unless he used a cooked food item. Okay? Ve'ein pomin, and he cannot insulate or warm. Ela im kain hayu pamin temunin me'erev yom tov, unless he had warm items that had been insulated, okay, already before the start of the holiday. Beit Hillel,
Read the concept of artifice, though. Doesn't that sound the same thing as throwing a shoe at a light switch?
That would be okay.
I'm not sure.
It would be totally okay.
I'm not sure.
The light switch is midrabanan, except for the everybody else says it's midrabanan. And if he uses a humongous shinoi, it would eliminate the issue of midrabanan.
Well,
You could definitely throw the light switch. I mean,
But it's
throw
an
the
artifice.
You have to be a good.
Okay.
I don't know.
Me'erev b'tavshil achad V'oseh bo kol tzurko. So Rabbi Beit Hillel says, Ma'arev b'tavshil echad. You may make your erev tavshilin
This one.
using a single cooked item, okay? And therefore do all of your necessities, all your needs for preparation based on that. Okay. Tanan. So we have another mission. Hama'aseh perotav b'Shabbat. Okay? One who takes his tithe of his produce on Shabbos, bishogeg, and it was done accidentally.
Inadvertent. I didn't know that.
Right? Okay. Yochal can eat it. B'mezid, if it was done deliberately, lo yochal is not able to eat it. Lo tzricha, the eat le piri achrine. Okay? It's only necessary to say this, assuming that he has other produce. Tashma. Listen to the following, bright. Hamatbil kelav b'Shabbat. One who immerses his, let's call it utensils for the moment, on Shabbos. B'shogeg, and he did so inadvertently. Yishtamesh bahen is permitted to use them. B'mezid, if he did it deliberately. Lo yishtamesh bahen. Okay, cannot use them. Okay. So the Gemara, we might wonder, why did we have to have two different examples in this case? Right? It would seem to be right, the same thing. Lo tzricha. No, we needed the examples. The itle mani acharine. Okay, that he has other utensils, inami, or it's also possible, efshar b'sheila, for him possibly to borrow your other utensils. Tashma, hear the following bright. Hamevashel b'Shabbat b'shogeg. One who cooks accidentally on Shabbos.
Without knowing that.
Okay. Well, right, yochal, okay, is able to eat it. B'mezid, but if he did it deliberately, lo yochal, he cannot eat it. Asura, isura de Shabbat shani, because we say that a prohibition in regards to Shabbat is different.
Because of
Clear.
malachas.
Yeah, because it's clearly a doraita, number one, and number two, there was with intent there. That's maleches mashem. Okay. All right, let's go on. Beit Shammai omrim shnei tavshilin. So remember, Beit Shammai said you had to have two separate foodstuffs. Matnitin delo ki haitam. It would appear then, says the Gemara, that our Mishnah is not like the following Tana, the Tanya who taught as follows. Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, he said, right, the following. Modim Beit Shammai, that Beit Shammai acknowledges, U Beit Hillel and Beit Hillel, al shtei tavshilin shetzarich, that they both seem to agree that one needs two foodstuffs. Alman nechlaku, so what did they argue about? Al dag ubeitza she'alav, an egg that was fried on a fish. Okay.
Fish that's coated with egg.
Right. So what happens? Right. Beit Shammai omrim shnei tavshilin. That Beit Shammai says it has to be two, and I'm going to use the word perhaps separate foodstuffs. Beit Hillel omrim.
Beis Shammai.
What?
You have that incorrect. Beis Shammai says
Two
that a
foodstuffs.
coated fish is two food.
It is two foods.
And Beis Hillel says
It's
it's
one.
only one.
Okay. So in other words, it has to be two. Okay. Which is what he said.
No,
Okay.
Beis Shammai says that the coated fish is
one.
He considers it two.
Right.
Right. Right. And therefore it would be satisfying.
Fine.
He
Right.
was, this requirement of two tafshilin would be satisfied.
Right. Ubeit Hillel omrim tafshil echad.
Only
However, Beit Hillel said that coated fish, okay, if we consider that, okay, is one. Vishavim, but they agree, right? She'im prepare beitza. That if one sliced and cooked an egg, v'natan letoch hadam, and
Stuff
put it,
the fish.
stuff the fish with it. Oh, shirasak kaflotot, or he mashed up leeks, v'natan letoch hadag, and he put that, stuffed the fish with vegetables, okay? Shehen shnei tavshilim, that these then are two different
It's
cooked
enough
foods.
separation.
right?
But it's two
All
foods.
right. We get to begin to see here what what certain things were on the diet of what they ate. Okay, just in a moment I'll continue, but remember we saw the argument the other day where it said bread and bread was porridge. Okay, so we need to keep in mind that one of the things that they ate, okay, was a kind of dip that was made from old bread and added items. So that was why they could argue that was both, it was eating bread with bread. Okay, I mean, the same way we might think of dipping, I'm thinking pita into hummus, for example, or
But
things
that's
like
already
that.
two.
That's already two
But if,
separate
for
items.
example, you made a bread pudding
Right,
and you used a roll and a bread pudding for your area of
Right.
tafshili,
Right,
that would
be
affect this
problematic.
machlokes.
Right. So I just want to point out that by seeing the foodstuffs that they ate, we can by understanding what their menus were, we can understand also why there was clearly machloket in this kind of situation too. Okay, all right, that's a little Amar Rava. So Rava says, Hilchata kitana didan va'aliba debate Hillel. That the law is according to our Tana and follows base Hillel.
Which means breaded fish is one.
Right, one foodstuff.
And you only need one top shell.
Right. Now, okay, what happens now? Achlo, Osha Ebad. Okay, if he ate it, or what happens if it got lost, right? Harei zeh lo yivashel alav. We say that he can't cook in that regard. Amar Abai. So Abai responds, Naktina, he says, we have a tradition. Hitchil be'esato v'ne'achal eruvo gomer. That if he began the process of making the dough, right? Okay, and his eruv got eaten, gomer, he may finish making that dough and proceeding to bake. Now, the new Mishnah, Matnitin says our new Mishnah. Chaliyot echad b'Shabbat. Now we're flipping when this Yontif and Shabbos comes, right? Yontif starts
Achar, not echad.
Achar, yeah. Chaliyot achar Shabbat, after Shabbat. In other words, it's
Sunday.
Saturday night and Sunday is Yontif. Okay? Or maybe it's even, right? Otherwise. Okay, so what happens? Beit Shammai Omrim Matbilin et Hakol Milifnei HaShabbat. Right? What is it? What Beit Shammai is saying here? Right? We have to immerse everything before Shabbat. Ubeit Hillel Omrim, they say, Kelim Milifnei HaShabbat Va'adam B'Shabbat. Okay, that in order to, if they have to be purified or made ready, okay, that the utensils need to be immersed before Shabbos, but a person could go to the mikveh on Shabbos in anticipation of the Yom Vishavim, and they agree, Shemashikin et Hamayim. Okay, that what? That one can, okay, do the following. If you need to ritually purify other water, okay, the implication would be, let's say you have you have the impure water in a container, bucket, whatever, you lower that into the mikvah, and when the water of the mikvah mix with the water, okay, in the container, then that water in the container is now considered purify.
The Kli Evan.
Okay? But what happens, says the Gemara, Bikli, the Mishnah, Bikli Evan, the Tahara. But you must do it, the container must be a container that's not capable of becoming Tameh, but it's a stone. Okay? The Tahara. Aval lo matbilin. Okay? But otherwise we don't immerse. Umatbilin, migav lagav, michavura lechavura. Okay, and says the Mishnah at the end there that we can immerse it from, what do you want to say, back to back? Okay, from one group to another. Okay, and then just to finish up the page and to go over a tiny bit, Gemara says the Kuli Alma Mihat Kli b'Shabbat Lo My Tama. Okay, that the Gemara therefore is saying regarding this use of a utensil on Shabbat, that shouldn't be the case. What's the reasoning? Amar Rava, Gezerah Shema Yitlenu Biyado, V'Yavirenu Arba Amot Mirishut Harabim. That perhaps the situation would be that one would take it and
He'll walk all the
carry it,
way to BRS.
okay, to be a, well, I don't know if he walked that far.
Well,
but he
that's the closest mikveh.
Could be, but that he would carry it from outside an appropriate domain. And that's the point. So we'll stop there and everybody have a good Shabbos and stay well. Everybody.
Good Shabbos.
They do?
Have a good Shabbos, everyone.
Shabbos.
Is it kosher mikveh?
You didn't say